Hello everyone, Bob here, and welcome to the Voice of the Movies. The last couple weeks I have focused primarily on a horror soundtrack, or in the case of last week, a horror box set, and the original in that franchise. So this week I thought I'd go back a little bit more mainstream, but not quite, because I realize that the Star Trek franchise is not as mainstream as, like, say, Star Wars. But I am a Trekkie, and this is the first soundtrack in the franchise, and this is an original 1979 pressing. And let's look at what we've got here. The front artwork I already showed you a minute ago is just the theatrical poster. The back has the movie credits. And then this is the picture. It's the same picture. It's on the back of the, or it was on the back of my VHS copy, which is also the copy that I showed you in an earlier video. And then it gives the album credits down here at the bottom. I realize the jacket isn't in the best of shape, but I found this in the wild, and I didn't pay much for it. I've got all of $5 in it, and I thought it was worth it, especially for an original pressing. And yes, it plays perfectly. This is the sleeve art that houses the actual LP. And these are different alien races. You flip it over to the other side, you have scenes from the actual movie. The only place where there is an actual track listing is on the record itself. You have the main title, / Klingon Battle, Leaving Dry Dock, The Cloud, The Enterprise. Side 2 contains Ailea's theme, V'ger Flyover, The Meld, Spock Walk, and then the end title. The music for Star Trek the Motion Picture was composed by Jerry Goldsmith. The main theme during the main titles, after the overture plays in the movie. Of course, the overture is sadly not included on this LP. The main theme is what most people think of as the Star Trek theme, the ding 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 ding, and it's of course what got recycled. This movie's the only place it appears until 1987, when The Next Generation appears, and of course it was used in the opening and closing credits for Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, and again for the closing credits of First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis. But this is where it what most people think of when they think of the Star Trek theme, if they're not thinking of the opening theme to the TV show from the 60s that Alexander Courage composed, which is the dun 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 dun. That Alexander Courage theme does appear in the score, but it does not appear on this LP. Also, another theme that is repeated later in the other movies in the franchise, as well as some of the TV shows to some extent, is the Klingon theme. When they meet V'ger to start the movie off, there's the dun 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 dun. That is that makes its appearance quite a bit in this franchise. In fact, a lot of the score from Star Trek the Motion Picture shaped the music for the future of the franchise, and both on big screen and small screen, in a way that it's immeasurable. In my opinion, Jerry Goldsmith's fingerprint is all over all of the orchestral score music that appears in the Star Trek films after this. Not just the films he composed the score for, because he did five films. He did Motion Picture, Final Frontier, First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis. He did all 5 of those, and I'm not just talking about those. James Horner did The Wrath of Khan, and he did a remarkable job with those, and it is a very James Horner-esque score, but there are elements from this that you feel are a definite part of that score. But I'm not reviewing that score today. I will at some point. Wrath of Khan, if you know anything about my Star Trek preferences, it's my favorite. It's my pick of the bunch all the way around. Like I say, I'll review that, the movie itself and the score later, but that's not what this video is about. It's very in the tradition of a very orchestral, very epic score. And V'ger has a the theme for V'ger, of course, spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, you've been warned. V'ger is the lost Voyager 6 satellite. It has come back to Earth, and so you kind of get the mechanical vibe through every time V'ger's music plays, its theme. Because at first, they theorize that it's from a planet of machines and all this, but you always get it always has like a very mechanical feel to it. And of course, the Enterprise, you have the heroic main theme, and of course you get it again when Scotty's taking Admiral Kirk to the Starship Enterprise for the first time after he's been given command back from William Decker. Another part of the soundtrack that stands out is Ilaia's theme. You get glimpses of it throughout the movie. It is definitely a softer, more, in a way it can almost be considered the love theme of the movie, because it very much expresses the connection between Ilaia's character and Decker. But it's another theme that is repeated throughout the movie. It's not repeated in any of the other films or TV shows in the franchise that I'm immediately aware of, but like some of the others in this movie are. But it definitely plays a big part in this film, because it appears in the overture. It appears periodically throughout the movie. And, of course, the way the film ends, it's the human adventure is just beginning. It's all upbeat, all triumphant. You get the Star Trek theme, the main theme from this blaring again. If you're a science fiction film fan, if you're a Trekkie, check out this soundtrack, whether you can find it on vinyl or whether you find it on digital. I personally prefer the vinyl, but just check out the soundtrack. It's definitely worth listening to. Well, that's all I've got for this week's episode of The Voice of the Movies. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. Consider subscribing to my channel, please. I try to have new content up daily. I definitely intend on having a new soundtrack review up every Saturday. Sometimes there'll be supplemental soundtrack reviews thrown in the mix, but definitely on Saturdays is the definite soundtrack day. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Just search for Bob the Film Guy. And this is Bob, signing off.